This morning, President Joe Biden will be right here in New York City meeting with Mayor Eric Adams to talk about reducing gun violence in the city.
Yeah, so far this year has been off to a very violent start. There have been several recent shootings, including the killing of 2 NYPD officers responding to a domestic violence call.
So Mayor Eric Adams is joining us now live ahead of that big meeting. Mayor Adams, good to see you, and thanks for coming back to PIX11.
Thank you so much, and you, Dan, and Hazel, I think you touched on something that many people miss. Number one, we buried Officer Mora. The night before, I was in the hospital where a young rookie officer was shot. Officer Mora and Rivera were responding to a domestic violence case in their precinct. Violence. Right. And that's why we need to really zero in on these issues.
You know, and Mayor, last week you unveiled that your own plan to combat gun violence here in this city with your blueprint, right? So you're meeting with the president today at One Police Plaza, talking about things like federal gun prosecution, the iron pipeline crackdown, ghost gun initiatives. What else do you specifically want to come out of today's meeting? Is it more funding? What is it?
Well, I want to take my hat off to the president. I think far too long we did not have a 9/11 style approach to gun violence. What we did around terrorism when international terrorists came to destroy our peacefulness in our country, we responded accordingly. City, state, federal agencies came together. We are not doing that with the terror that's playing out in inner cities across America, including New York City. What I'm saying to the president today, we need funding for the ATF, $1.5 billion to make sure that they can do their job of stopping the flow of guns. We need help with our crisis management team. He's going to announce the proposal of having Congress give them an additional $500 million. And then we need a combination of coming together to go after the flow of guns, ghost guns, and the other problems we are facing.
Yeah, Mayor, this city has been shaken to its core by all of the gun violence we've seen so early on in this year, including, as we had mentioned, the deaths of the 2 officers with the NYPD. You were at the funeral of both those officers, including Detective Jason Rivera. So you heard his widow speaking and criticizing the DA, the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg. I'm just curious as to what your feelings were as she was making those comments. And then did you speak with the Manhattan DA about those comments during your meeting with the DAs earlier this week?
Well, I was in the hospital when she walked in, and the most difficult thing you can do as a police commander or as a mayor is to look in the face of a wife, newlywed, and hear her pains, her anger. I'm sitting down with the family. It took me days to recover from hearing the pain that they felt. And I spoke with the DA around my concerns. We had private conversations, and I'm not going to go into those private conversations, but we're on the same page of dealing with violence, particularly gun violence in our city. And it's imperative that we, as I say, there are many rivers that feed the sea of violence and gun violence. Each river must be dammed, and one of those dams must be built around tweaking our laws that are coming out of Albany and how we actually prosecute these crimes.
And you know, Mayor, those calls for change to the criminal justice reforms, you just touched upon it, the bail reform, specifically raise the age, right? That all has to come from the legislators and from Albany. So what specifically do you want to see change in both of those? When you say tweak, what does that look like? And have you had conversations with the players who can actually make it happen?
I'm headed to Albany next week as we put in place our call for the budgets, but here are the specific tweaks. And remember, Dan, you followed me for a long time and covered me. I have been on the forefront of police reform, but I've always also been on the forefront of public safety. They go together. Police reformers wrote many of these changes. No one talked to the public safety experts on this. Number one, I believe judges should be able to have the discretion of dangerousness to do an analysis. If someone has an immediate threat to the city, they should make the determination if they should be released or not. Raise the age, very specific. Right now, if a person 14, 15, 16 years old carries a gun and they do not expose it, then they go to family court. No matter how many times they do this, they continue to go to family court. We see the repeated cases. I say we need to tweak that. If you have a gun, it should not matter if you expose it or not. You should go to criminal court and not continue to go to family court.
Mayor, is there confusion around the judge's discretion in the violence and putting them back on the streets. I spoke to the lieutenant governor on our Sunday political show, and he said that already does exist.
No, it does not. 49 states in this country currently allow judges to have dangerousness as a determination. We don't have it in New York. And that is a problem that I think we need to address. And then when you look at where the violence is coming from, it's coming from young people who are being exploited by adults to have them carry guns, similar to what we saw during the 70s during drugs, because they know they go into family court and they are exploiting these young people.
Mayor Adams, switching gears a little bit, you also touched upon public safety, which includes what we're seeing in the subway system right now. So many violent incidents on the subway, most recently with the death of 40-year-old Michelle Alyssa Go, and after she was pushed to her death in the Times Square subway station. Do you want to see more officers in the subway? And how many, if that's what you would like to see?
Yes, and I met with the Gold's family. I sat down with the mother and father. They came here, City Hall, to meet with me, flying from the West Coast. And then I went to her wake and spoke with her friends and loved ones. So there's several things we must do. Number one, I need my police officers deployed properly in the subway system. They should be on the trains, walking through the cars. That's what's called omnipresent, to give people the feeling and confidence of safety. Number two, we made a big mistake in the past. We've ignored those who should not be on our subway system because of mental health illnesses. They were basically allowed to stay there. I am not going to have that policy. We're going to give them the proper care, and we're going to use mental health professionals to move them into facilities that they can get to the assistance that they deserve. No more ignoring what we're seeing on our system, allowing that disorder to exist. That is not the city that I'm going to be the mayor of.
So where do you stand then? There's also been this push, Mayor, from the City Council, right, to install those platform safety barriers as a way to prevent subway deaths. It's a lot of conversations now happening with Manhattan Borough President, the Manhattan constituents of the City Council, and the MTA. Is that something you see as feasible and would push for?
Yes, I love the idea. I actually had leaders in this industry when I was the borough president. We attempted to do so. The MTA was slow on moving forward on it. I think it's far time now. Other countries are doing this. This is a good way to alleviate people being pushed to the tracks. But that technology should not be a replacement from the fact that our subway system must be safe. And it's not only safe from being shoved to the tracks, but the robberies, the rapes, anything that is going to bring disorder must be addressed.
Mr. Mayor, we are running out of time, but we do want to ask you something that many people are curious about. You were spotted Tuesday night having dinner with former Governor Andrew Cuomo at a Midtown restaurant. Can you tell us what that meeting was all about?
But isn't that in line with who I am as a person? I sat down with members of the Black Lives Matters group. I sat down with anti-vaxxers. I sit down with gang members to try to talk them out of gangs. I sit down with former mayors and learn what I need to know in this seat. Governor Cuomo served in politics for many years. We are at an unprecedented time of bringing our economy and our state and city back. And we're creatures of Albany. I'm going to sit down with everyone. No stone will be left unturned to get my city back up and operating. And those who don't understand that just have not been following me throughout my career. We need to talk to each other and not at each other, and I'm willing to do that.
What was the goal?
The goal is to get this city and state back up and operating. We're seeing record numbers of unemployment, 8.8%. We're seeing 30% occupancy in our office buildings. We're seeing people are not able to pay their rent. The goal is to stop being disagreeable and learn that we can work together. And I'm going to do that. And I said it on the campaign trail, and I'm going to do that in how I govern this city.
All right, Mayor Adams, we again appreciate your time and look forward to hearing how your meeting goes with President Biden later today.
Thank you. Great seeing both of you.
Keep us posted, and I got to get my pocket square. How do you do that? Is that you buy it like that?
No, I'm just a good ironer.